ageism is real. And if you're in that corporate situation and you want to stay in that corporate situation and you start to hit even mid 40s, which ain't that old, right? You're going to start bumping up against ageism. But here's the thing, when you're out on your own as a fractional or a consultant or an advisor, your agent experience actually is a benefit. That's the reason you will get hired. Think about that.
So 2025 is seeing lots of corporate executives leaving corporate and entering the world of fractional. And for a lot of you who are executives thinking about or making that transition, maybe the first term that came to your mind is, well, maybe I just go out on my own and be a consultant. And then you ran into this term called fractional. And you may be wondering, how do they fit differently? Where do they fit? And either way, how do I even make this transition? Well, we're lucky here at the Fractional Pros that my buddy Dean is an absolute expert at helping you do just that. So Dean, I want to talk about that today. Okay. I want to put you on the spot and just kind of like shine a big old spotlight on you as we talk to corporate executives, people who have been corporate execs for a long time and are leaving and going out on their own. Can we do that today?
Let's do it. I think there's a lot of uncertainty and unknowns for this particular group and they struggle unnecessarily. So yeah, let's get into it.
So but let's start here by framing this. Why are corporate executives leaving corporate?
Yeah. I think there are two primary things that I see. I talk to hundreds of fractionals every year, and many of those are either in the process of making that transition or have done so recently. And the two things I hear over and over again are, number one, they're tired of the grind, right? They're tired of the grind. The corporate grind is a lot, right? Lots of hours, oftentimes lots of travel, lots of pressure and expectations, and you got to play the political game to stay in the game. That's a big piece of it. And the other is quality of life, which is kind of the other side of that, right? So maybe their health has slipped over the years because they've sacrificed everything for the job. Maybe they've missed their kids' soccer games and all of that, the life events. They've made great money. They've got cash in the bank, but their quality of life, that work-life balancing has just slipped. And so those are the big things that drive people making a change. Now, there is a small section of that group that were laid off. Right. This sort of misnomer that a corporate job is more secure than being out on your own. There is that misnomer out there. And the reality is, guys, it's not true. If anything, you have less control when you're in a corporate job, right, than you do when you work for yourself. So those are the reasons why people make that shift.
Yeah. And there's so much there that you said when we're looking at You've been inside of corporate for a long time, right? You've climbed that ladder. Your bank account, your 401k, your retirement accounts have grown, but so has your waistline.
That's right.
Right? And your health has done, and now you're facing competition from younger folk, and you feel like I can't keep up. And so your health, and so you're starting to look at, and all of these things are happening. Right? All of these things are happening. And to even add to what you said, I think for a lot of corporate execs too, you're also in a transitional state of life, right? Either the kids are finally out of the house, right? And so now it's like, okay, I did miss a lot. And or grandkids are starting to show up and you're like, I don't want to miss anymore. Right. And you're balancing all of those sorts of things. And for a lot of you listening, those are a lot of the reasons why you left. Heck, even if you were laid off, you've probably dealt with all of these as well.
Yeah.
Right. Because chances are, if you were laid off, you either were already thinking about leaving and facing all of these, or you're flat smack facing them right now for the first time. Yeah. Either way, it's a scary place. It's it's a very, very scary place. And so let's start by addressing, how do you deal with that statement that you made, that staying inside of corporate is less secure than being on your own? Because that seems counterintuitive, right? But and because it seems like it's super scary out here in the wilderness. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack there, for sure. Well, let me start by saying ageism is real. It's real. And if you're in that corporate situation and you want to stay in that corporate situation and you start to hit even mid 40s, which ain't that old, right? You're going to start bumping up against ageism. You just are. But here's the thing: when you're out on your own as a fractional or a consultant or an advisor, your age and experience actually is a benefit. That's the reason you will get hired. Think about that. Think about that from a mindset perspective and an attitude perspective. A business owner running a $20 million manufacturing company is probably not going to hire somebody in their late 20s to run an area of their business. But are they going to hire somebody in their mid 40s, mid 50s, late 50s or beyond that's done it, been there, done it and succeeded? Absolutely, all day long and twice on Sunday. Just start with that. Just sit with that. You have that control back. You have that opportunity back that you don't have in corporate. So that to me is a big first step, is realizing the opportunity that you have. But directly answering your question, why do you have more control in your own business? You can't fire yourself. Well, you can, but you probably won't, right? When that wave of layoffs or that new initiative or that budget constraint comes from above in corporate, all you have to do is to nod and row. That's all. That's the only choice you got, right? But when you work for yourself, you can pivot, you can adapt, you can partner with others, right? You can become part of a community that's all helping each other. You can move in the direction that you want, right? If something doesn't work, you get to change. You get to adapt. You get to do something different. In corporate, you don't. You're in your lane, man. You're in your seat. You're driving your thing. And if the chopping block is your destiny, your head's going to roll. So just from a control perspective, you have a lot more control. Now, is it easy? No, I'm not going to say it's easy. It's a grind, but it's a different kind of grind. You're building something for yourself. So that's where I think the control piece comes in more than anything else. And you don't have to be a victim of somebody else's choices.
Okay. So I hear that and we feel that. Okay. So now I'm in control. But of what?
What the heck am I doing? How do I do? Exactly. Yeah. I tell you, we've done an episode or two on similar topics, but I think that's the biggest part where people struggle, is they make this decision. All right, I'm going to do my thing. What's my thing? How do I what? And that's where most people get stuck, right? They sort of this analysis paralysis to make a decision, and then they're months or sometimes years behind. So there's this concept of experience and expertise that I talk about sometimes, and I've talked about it on other episodes, where so many folks that come out of corporate are like, I've got all the experience in doing this thing. I'm really good at solving this problem. I've got a process, I've got an approach, I've got examples, I've done it for years, but I've no experience in doing it for businesses, for clients. And they get stuck in this place where the lack of experience doing it as a fractional stops them. So I would encourage you all to just sit quietly and think about the successes you've had, right? The expertise that you have, the wins that you have. Start there and do something with that. Write it down. Write down the stories. Grab your phone, do a voice memo. I don't care what it is. Document your successes, because that's going to be the foundation of what you're going to do to build your business. Start there.
Yeah, and it's super important to do that too, right? Because the biggest thing that we do as humans is undervalue ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? We undervalue our role in what we were able to accomplish before. And so I would even take that one step further. So you talk about what you do, but then also go talk to other people that you work with, that you still have relationship with, and get their perspective on what you brought to the table, because very often we don't see it. We don't understand it. We discount it. And this is the time where we can't discount it. This is the time when we need to be able to stand on that expertise and say, hey, listen, this is what I've done. This is where I've been. This is what I've accomplished.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what I've led. Because that's what, when we go in and we talk to the business owner, and as you said, this is where ageism helps us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is where your 25 years of experience helps us. So in 25 years, here's the things that I have done.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that idea. And I would encourage everybody to do that on Zoom and record it, because you're going to be able to go back and look at that transcript and really pull out of it some super powerful nuggets, because it's not just the what you did and the outcomes. While that's important, it's the impact and experience that people kind of experience working with you.
Yes.
And that's what people will buy. That's the stories you can tell. That's how you build your marketing messaging, is from those people. And oftentimes those people are happy to be references and testimonials for you. And maybe once they know what you're doing, they'll be your first referral partners as well.
Yeah.
Right? That's where some of the big golden nuggets are hidden, is the people you used to work with and the impacts because of the impacts you've had on them. So record it on Zoom, go back, review the transcripts, use AI to pull out the key nuggets. And it's amazing, that process. What it will do is it will build your confidence, and it will help you get clear on not just the services you provide and the expertise that you have, but the impacts on the people that you work with, because that will set you apart.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you touched on the fact that going back to some of those people, they may become some of your first referral partners. So let's dive into talking about, okay, so how else do we get those first clients?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the next thing, right? It's in the process of, how do I become a fractional? Well, you got to have some clients, right, to actually be functioning. Big surprise there. So I recommend a few things. First of all, talk to Atiba if you guys have questions about ICP, your ideal client profile. He's an expert in helping you figure that piece out, because I think most people give it lip service and really don't dig in enough. And that's oftentimes that's the foundation of your business, is knowing exactly the kind of business and people that we want to work with, and we build from there. So start with that. But the next piece is this: getting introductions. Frac is the annual fractional conference, and they do a survey every year. This year, 2024, they did a survey of, I think, almost 250, 275 fractionals, and asked them a whole bunch of questions. And one of the questions they asked was, where do you get your clients? And the high majority, 90%, said referral. And everybody's like, I don't know that. It's referral. I go network, and I network and I don't get results. Well, here's the thing. If you're new, you don't have a referral partner network. But what you have is a deep pool of people you've worked with firsthand. So here's where you start. Make a list of all the people that you've worked with in the last, let's say, 5 years. When I say worked with, I'm talking about you've worked with them on a project. Maybe you were leading a project for their department. You've had interaction. They've seen and experienced you. The people that we just talked about hopping on Zoom with. Make that list. That's a no-brainer. People do that. Another list that most people don't do is think about the vendors, suppliers, and advisors to the businesses you worked for. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're in the insurance business and you want to work with insurance companies as a fractional. I'm just making this up. And you worked with a software vendor, and their software was built and designed for insurance companies.
Yeah.
And the rep that you worked with all the biggest insurance companies in the nation. those people are the people you need to reach out to and build a relationship with. People don't think about the vendors and suppliers to the businesses you worked for as referral partners, because the reality is if they work for your business, they've probably got a lot of other businesses that they've worked with that fit that profile, assuming that profile is who you want to support as a fractional. So make that list. Make that list and just reach out to them. Connect with them. Have a human to human conversation. It's not a sales pitch. It's been a while. I'd love to know what's going on with you. I'd love to catch up and to share what's going on with me. They will say yes, because they remembered you as what? As a client. You're on a pedestal. They will take the call and they will probably be happy to support you. So that second list is where the money lies. That's where the opportunities are. That's how you can start to grow your client base, is through those relationships. And most people don't think about those people.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's one piece too that I'd like to add in that supports all of that. Because, we reach out to these people and we start having these conversations and we're asking for referrals and we're getting these referrals. And oftentimes what happens when you get a referral, it's Dean wants to refer Atiba to John. So Dean sends an email between Atiba and John. Hey, John, meet Atiba. Atiba, meet John. Y'all need to know each other, blah, 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 blah. What does John then do? John wants to go check out Atiba and who's Atiba before he even responds to the email. Yeah. And so this now is where your presence on social becomes so vitally important in the content that you've been creating. Okay? The content that you've been creating, and content to educate your audience, not content to sell your audience, not content talking about random stuff, but content showing your expertise and why, and the values that you have, and why what you do is important to the world. Okay? Educating on what you do. And so now John goes out and sees your content and says, okay, this Atiba guy knows his stuff. I see why Dean wanted us to meet. And now when that referral happens and that connection happens, it happens at a much deeper level than the surface. Who are you again? And why are we here? But, I saw that you talked about these things. Man, I really believe in that too. And now your relationship blossoms even faster. And that's the whole key, because in order to land a client, you have to build know, like, and trust. If they don't trust you, they won't ever work with you. And you can use your social content to help you build that know, like, and trust. Yeah. And so as you're making this transition from corporate into fractional, these are the things that you have to really consider. Okay? These are the things that you need to put into place. Where's your mindset? Build those lists, as Dean said, which will help you know who to reach out to and where your referrals are coming from. And then have that base of content behind you that supports that you are as great as you say you are.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Put all of that together. That's the soup. That's the meal. Those are the ingredients that help you really launch fast. Now, before we go, I do want to talk to you who's listening to us right now, who's still working at corporate and you're thinking about making this leap. If that's you, then you start at the end. Start creating content now. You're going to be working backwards through this process. Start creating that content now. Start creating that bedrock of information about yourself that exists out there, so that when you do finally go out and start reaching out, people can see this person's been at it for a while. Yes, this is real.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, related to this. This is maybe a little bit unexpected question, but I hear it a lot. What if I start creating that content? I'm still working. I'm working for a company. What if I start creating that content? Is that going to risk my job? Will that be weird? How do I address that?
Yeah, it's a great question. And the thing here is, it doesn't risk your job if you're not violating your job. Okay? So let's say you are a fractional CFO, or you're a CFO right now, and you're thinking about becoming a fractional CFO, and you're a CFO for a company right now, well, you can't create content talking about your company's clients. Don't do that. That's not smart. Okay? Don't create content talking about your current company even necessarily. However, could you create content talking about some of the principles of finances that you believe in? Absolutely. Could you create content about how an upcoming law is going to affect corporate taxes? Absolutely. You can absolutely talk about that stuff. And guess what? When you do, your current employer is actually going to love you for it. That's a side benefit, okay? Because you're still listed as working for them. And so you're putting out thought leadership content out there, showing that they have thought leaders on their staff. So they actually are going to love it, while what you're really doing is building yourself for the future.
Exactly. Great response, Atiba. That's exactly the same advice I would give. 100%. Don't let the fear of doing that stop you, because that's what it is. That's all it is. But take Atiba's advice, move in that direction. Don't wait. It'll make a huge difference once you do make the leap.
Yeah. So listen, the thing that we hope here between Dean and I coming out of this episode is that you see the blueprint. You can do this. It starts with your mindset. It starts with you understanding your value. It starts with you reaching out to those past people and creating that referral list and reaching out to them, and then making sure you have the content behind you that says, hey, I am. And listen, it doesn't have to be like years of content. This could be 2 weeks. Start. My point, start.
Yep.
Okay? That's what it takes. That's what it takes. But I know you probably still need some help, and that's okay. We're here to help you. More importantly, Dean is here to help you, and Dean actually has an entire community. So please listen to all of our episodes, but Dean has a community of other executives just like you who are making the transition, who are supporting each other, who are able to help each other grow. Mm-hmm. That's the last piece that you need, is the support of others just like you. So your next step, join Dean's community, get around like-minded people who are all on that same journey, because it will help you accelerate. And as always, he's Dean. I'm Atiba. We're the Fractional Pros. We'll see you next time.
See you next time, guys.